Hello everybody and welcome back to WCS America Group E action over here. We are in our losers match, and of course an important one, because if you lose this one, Nate, you are out, you are done for WCS America Season 2. And we have Jaedong once again in this match. He was here in the round of 32 last season, and back then he lost surprisingly. It was an early exit. If Jaedong would lose again right now, it's going to be really tough for him to collect the required amount of WCS points to make a serious run at going to BlizzCon this year.
Yeah, this is a really important series for him against Jim. He cannot afford to be eliminated. Of course, last season, that group was pretty crazy what ended up happening. I think most people will probably never forget Jaedong's elimination match against Haas, I believe it was.
Correct.
And we saw some yesterday's group from top, but he'll have a chance, I think, to maybe macro his way through this match.
Yes, our first map is going to be played on Alterzim Stronghold. He's going up against Jim, and these two guys actually have a little bit of history with each other as well. They've both been part of WCS America for a long time. When Jim's hype just started to get real, when me and Ben talked him into oblivion, and we just said that he was basically the greatest Protoss player to ever walk on this planet, he did defeat Jaedong in Challenger 2-0, but this is more than a year ago, so we shouldn't look too much into that. They also played against each other in the quarterfinals of the Premier League, so that was a really important series. And it was a close one as well, where Jaedong was able to win 3-2 in the long run. But still, that shows that it wasn't easy. And just in general, Nate, I feel that Jim's PvP is really damn solid. Jim's PvZ is pretty damn good too, even though he messed up a little bit early today against Hyun. Not going to deny it, not going to sugarcoat it. It was just a couple of silly and unforced errors, in my opinion, and games that he could have won. However, he's a really dangerous opponent for the Dong.
Yeah, I mean, anything could happen, guys. This is still very, very high-level players that we're looking at. Jim, this could be his chance to get himself back alive in this group. Of course, he's going to have to go through this guy first in the bottom right position of Alterzim Stronghold. We have not had many games on this map at all in WCS America so far. From Team Evil Geniuses, it is Jaedong. Trying to get back into the round of 16 for WCS America. His opponent in the top right, the red Protoss player, was knocked down by Hyun earlier on. From Invictus Gaming, it is Jim.
Jim, of course, a little bit of a wild card as well. Like I said earlier today, not as crazy as Top, not as crazy as Haas, but you never really know what to expect with Jim. Earlier today, we saw that he's not afraid to cannon. It's going to be very, very hard to successfully cannon rush on Alterzim Stronghold. I'm not going to say that it's impossible, because I have seen a Protoss player do it. It was actually like really sick. He started cannoning over here on the high ground, so he was in range of this one, and then he was also in range of this one later on. Some of the coolest cannon stuff that I've seen, but I think he still ended up losing that game, because above all, it's such a big reinforcements that, or investment, what am I trying to say, reinforcement, such a big investment that it's really hard to justify building 5-6 pylons and trying to cannon every single base on such a large map.
Yeah,
so we will see.
I don't think you're too off in why. A very good point why cannon rushing doesn't happen terribly often. Probe Scout comes in for Jim, and he's going to be looking for anything crazy. Fast pool would be nice to scout, but you know that's not in the cards here for Jaedong, and he can almost safely assume that there's a hatchery in that secure pocket natural expansion, and of course he can pretty much go check that out whenever he wants. But he does see the pool, so he should know.
Now, Alterzim is, there are a lot of mixed opinions about this map. Like, most Protoss players are going to tell you that, at least that's what I think, that most Protoss players don't like it. But I was recently talking with Baby Knight, even though he's right now maybe not playing that much StarCraft anymore, but he's still a very good Protoss player. And he said, yeah, I love Alterzim, it makes so much sense to me. And then the series that we were playing on is like, the Protoss player that was in that game was actually Balloon, our random player. This is really complicated as well, but basically it's just like some Protoss players love it, some Protoss players hate it, because yes, you can go up to 3 bases relatively easily, but it's also hard to ever move out without being counterattacked, and Muda switches can be deadly on this map. And I wonder if Jim is just going to play this passive, or if he has something up his sleeve. Like, I kind of feel that we might look at it. A lot of Chrono Boost being spent on this 7x core. This could very well be... I like what actually is going on. He has scouted, he has seen, there's no extractor. I think Jim is going to throw down 3 gates, and he's going to 4 gate.
That would be pretty crazy to see. This Overlord making its way towards Jim's base. Those gateways not really in a scoutable position. He's got a 4-gate.
You seem really excited
Yeah,
about
man, I
that.
haven't seen a 4-gate in forever. This is madness.
He can still drop a Nexus as well before Warp Gate technology is done. Once again, in my opinion, the best thing that Jim can do is warp in Stalkers and Stalkers only, because Stalkers can actually kite Zerglings. Just a straight up 4-gate is not going to work if the Zerg player picks up on this on time and only produces slow links. Like, there will be so many slow links and queens that Zealots are just not going to cut it. You need like 5, 6, 7 Stalkers to chip away at Zerglings, chipping away, and then you can warp in Zealots to seal the deal. But if he starts warping in Zealots right now, I don't think it's going to work, Nate.
And these Zerglings, good micro from Jaedong so far, not losing any of those links to the Zealots initially. 8 more Zerglings on the way. He's continuing to at least get out that extra queen. But those gateways are done. Here comes the first warp, and it's going to be 4 Stalkers. Without Zergling speed, he does have a bit of micro potential to kite these Zerglings.
A lot of micro potential, and let's not forget there is no creep either. No creep tumor going down. I like how this is going. He has to be very careful. There one mistake for Jim, and he's going to straight up lose this game. He cannot afford to get any units surrounded. From this point on, I would say 2 Stalkers and then Zealots. He doesn't really have more gas for that. Like, getting a few more Stalkers is definitely not bad. Speed is on the way right now, but it's still so far away. He's going for 3 Zealots and a Stalker. That's an okay decision as well. And from this point on, it starts getting difficult for Jaedong with only 22 Zerglings.
Yeah, but Jaedong's actually got some Zerglings in Jim's base. If probes are forced to fight against him a little bit. He has a few, but he's managed to clear them out for the most part. Zealots now fighting those Zerglings, and this is exactly the kind of position he wants to be in. The Zealots hit the Lings, the Stalkers shoot from afar, and Jim is slowly but surely making this work.
Yeah, I think this is going to work. Speed is halfway done. There's still a lot of slow links on the production tab, but these Overlords are going to fall. These Queens should go down, and these hatcheries should go down as well. Queens off creep, of course, there's no way out. Jaedong starts working on these pylons. That's kind of smart, but there will still be one more Zealot warp in as well over here on the south side. You know, theoretically it's still possible. There are a lot of Zerglings. If Jim misplays this, if he gets overconfident, Speed is almost about to finish up. He cannot afford to get these Stalkers surrounded. Let's not forget, it's still a 1-base Protoss. But if Jim puts himself in a good position, he should not lose this.
He's missing a lot of mine time. The Zerglings are going to come up here. They are funneled into quite a tight choke point. Now able to get through. Speed has completed, but those Zealots are going to town. Stalkers being weakened, but pulling them back reasonably well still. Look at this, 40 supply to 20. There is too much here. No Queens to inject, no drones even really mining to reinforce this Zergling count. And Jaedong is going to drop this first map to our Chinese player.
Jim with the good old 4-gate, and if you think right now like, I should 4-gate again too, of course this is something that you could only do against the Zerg player that opens up without speed. Those Stalkers doing a great job. Jim going up 1-0 against EG's Jaedong. Just one map win away right now from going up for his deciding series, where Hart of course is waiting in the next round. Like I said in the start of the game, even though like it was the most complicated explanation of all time, which really shouldn't have been, Alterzim is kind of like you love it or you hate it, and I don't think that Jim is that much of a fan of it, but he's probably just like, hey, sometimes Zerg players like to go 3 hatcheries before pool here. Sometimes they don't drop an extractor at all. If they don't that, I'll just 4-gate because it's such a large map. Of course, it's hard to find a probe, it's hard to find a pylon. It's unlikely that the Overlord is already in your base unless you got unlucky.
Yeah.
So he just went for it, and yeah, against a Zerg player that tries to play gasless, there's no way that you can keep that base alive. Like, the only thing that Jaedong could have done is, as soon as he realized that this was going on, try to evacuate everything to the main, because then, hey, it's still 2 bases against 1, which is still a good scenario, and going up a ramp is already a lot harder than fighting in the open area at the bottom of the ramp.
Yeah, a lot better than I think losing, of course. Jaedong, that's just one of those situations where you would think, okay, this is a good map for this style of play. I should probably be able to get away with it, but how much does Jaedong know about Jim? I mean, we kind of talked about how Jim can be a wild card, you said, but I wouldn't have expected Jim to go for a 4-gate. I thought it was as all-in of a build as it can be. I thought it was cool to see a really nice change-up in a way to abuse how Jaedong opened.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this is not, some people might think like, oh, he just 4-gated, lol. Like, he just opened up with Alterzim and he's like, I'm gonna 4-gate. This is obviously what he scouted. He sends in the probe, he found Jaedong base, he checked around, extractors, nope, no gas, no gas, no gas. all right, I'm going to 4-gate. I can guarantee you guys that if he would have seen a gas go down much quicker, it is very, very unlikely he would have done the same build. I would say that it would almost be suicide. Because if speed is ready at like 6:10, 6:15, or even before the 6-minute mark, well, good luck, have fun warping in your 5 Stalkers. You're not going to do it. And if you warp in Zealots, they'll get surrounded immediately as well. The Queens reinforce. The 4-gate will never work.
Yeah, so second map, guys, for this series will be played out on Merry-Go-Round.
Oh, I can't believe what we're watching, Nate. This would be the 2nd season in a row that Jaedong does not make it out of the round of 32. Currently, he's still in the top 16 of WCS points, but I think it's safe to say that by the time that Season 2 finishes up in Korea, in Europe, and in America, and we're giving away so many WCS points, that Jaedong would fall out of the top 16 if he doesn't get any more points than the round of 32 over here.
That's a very realistic possibility, Kevin. He is on his deathbed. You know, this is as close as you're going to get. He's one map away from elimination from this season of Premier League for WCS America. Can he bring it back? We have loaded in to our second map of this series, and as you guys can see behind me, our Protoss player in the top left, playing for Invictus Gaming, is one win away from going up to face off against Hart. It is Jim. Good old Jim.
Yeah, Jim had a very successful WCS America 2013. He entered Premier League in Season 2, and he made it into the quarterfinals immediately, and he did the same thing the next season, so it was really impressive. Having 2 back-to-back runs, unfortunately he was not able to duplicate that success in 2014, so when he actually lost in the round of 16 in Season 3, excuse me. So 1 quarterfinal run, 1 round of 16 run, both really impressive, and then he lost in Challenger in Season 1 when he went up against Bomber, of course.
Yeah.
Can't fault him too much for that. Getting Bomber in your Challenger match is difficult, so Jim missed out on Premier League in Season 1, but he came back strong this season.
Yeah, and what's really important now is what he decides to go for this game. We've seen some cannons earlier, but he's going to go straight for that gateway opening. Jaedong, on the other hand, I mean, does he need to go for 15 pool against this? I don't think so. He could go hatch first, but better safe than sorry.
Yeah, I think Jaedong is definitely a little worried right now as well. There's a lot on the line, a lot of potential money for Jaedong, even though I guess he's pretty well off, but we all know the Dong. He always wants to win. It doesn't really matter what's on the line, but this is extra important. He's going to open over the pool, doesn't want to take the risk of being cannon rushed, because this is, I mean, it's not a 4-player map, you know, it's a 3-player, so you could still send out with 2 probes. He's guaranteed to find him. So I don't fault Jaedong too much for opening up safely over here. What can Jim do? There are a lot of crazy 2-base pushes possible with this, with these spawning locations. We've seen it before, Nate, on Merry-Go-Round. If a Protoss player is able to get a pylon up over here on this area, it's extremely nice. You're so close to the natural of your opponent. We've seen Parting do some ridiculous builds over here on this map. We saw Crank execute, you know, Zealot Immortal very well on this map. We'll see. I definitely know that Jim is capable of that stuff, but it could also just be Immortal Sentry or maybe something else, but I can't really see him just macroing up to 3 bases, sitting back, and just trying to outplay the hell out of Jaedong. I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah. But hey, I would love to see it, don't get me wrong. It would be something.
It's definitely a ballsy move to try to play straight up versus Jaedong. Pro Med's down to the natural, so he can kick off this Nexus as Jaedong takes his 3rd hatchery. How do you feel about this hatchery position for Jaedong?
It's a better decision by far. He actually had, I mean, he scouted this with the Overlord. He saw that Jim was not spawning on the south side of this map, unless he would have somehow killed his own Nexus and repositioned himself. So he's just like, all right, I'm never going to drop my hatchery over here, because that would be even closer to this high ground area, and that is borderline impossible to defend if certain Protoss pushes are well executed. So this makes a lot of sense for the Dong. I must say I'm a little bit surprised that he has not dropped an Extractor yet.
Yeah, he is droning. He's droning very heavily.
I mean, of course, this game, Jim has not scouted. Actually, has not scouted at all. I want to say has not scouted the Extractors. That is a very quick robo, by the way. Sweet Jesus, that's a 4:45 robo. Wow. Well,
you said Immortal Sentry could be in the cards. This would be very fast Immortal.
Yeah, this could also be Immortal Zealot. Well, he already has 2nd Sentry on the way right now. Maybe not. We'll see. Super quick robotics facility either way. So we'll see where Jim is going to take this. But I must say, ballsy decision by Jaedong, man, to just think like, he's not going to do that again because he hasn't scouted this time. He doesn't know if I have an Extractor or not. So I find it very, very unlikely that he's going to forget me again. But imagine if he would have done it again, this hatchery would have been dead, and even the natural, well, it would have been tough for Jaedong, let's put it like that.
Yep, those 2 sentries shove the Overlord away that Jaedong wanted to use his scout.
What?
And Jim actually opened straight up with an observer. I guess this is his way of getting some scouting information.
Yeah, Jim is like, I can send out a probe, but what if I just rush to an observer? What's going to be the follow-up for this? Okay, now we do see an Immortal on the way. Maybe he just didn't have the gas for the Immortal? I don't know. I can't really explain that. It doesn't change that much, because in the end you still want to have the observer as well, and I guess it helps a little bit. Shouldn't make a big difference. He's going to not see this Overlord over here. Oh, and the sentry is not going to see it either. He got so close to it. We see a Roach one go down on the other side of the map. This seems like a very straight up Immortal sentry built over here by Jim. It's gonna hit hard. It's gonna hit quick. Actually, he's not getting these simulators yet. It's a little different. It's gonna hit a little quicker, of course, because of that. But it also means that he's going to have less sentries to work with. So we'll see how he's going to do this. Jaedong right now saturated 3 bases properly. 5